When a man contacts you, it's natural to feel a mix of emotions: curiosity, excitement, or even nervousness. However, one of the most common mistakes you can make in such moments is sacrificing your self-worth for validation. This happens when you allow someone else's attention or approval to define your value. While it might feel good to be noticed or pursued, anchoring your sense of self in someone else's perception of you is a dangerous game that can lead to emotional dependency and disappointment. When you rely on external validation, you unintentionally give away your power. This might show up in subtle ways like overanalyzing his words or adjusting your behavior to align with what you think he wants. It could mean compromising your own values, interests, or even personality just to keep his attention or approval. These actions may seem small in the moment, but over time they create a pattern where your happiness becomes tied to his responses. This not only diminishes your confidence, but also places an unnecessary burden on the other person to constantly affirm your worth. True self-worth comes from within. Joe Dispenza often teaches that our emotional states are reflections of our inner work, not external circumstances. If you feel incomplete or unsure of yourself, no amount of external praise or attention can fill that void. Instead, it's essential to recognize that you are already whole and worthy, regardless of anyone else's opinion. When you know your value, you naturally set healthy boundaries, and those boundaries invite respect. People sense when you carry yourself with confidence and authenticity, and they are more likely to value you in return. It's important to remember that a man reaching out to you doesn't automatically place him in a position of power. A relationship, or even the start of one, is a dynamic exchange, not a performance where one person is trying to earn the other's approval. When you understand this, you approach the interaction from a place of equality, not insecurity. This mindset shift allows you to stay authentic and relaxed, focusing on whether the connection is mutually fulfilling instead of trying to prove yourself worthy. Imagine a situation where you find yourself adjusting your tone, words, or actions to make a man like you. Maybe you downplay your achievements, avoid expressing opinions, or agree with things you don't truly align with. These are subtle ways of seeking validation, and while they might seem harmless, they can erode your sense of self over time. Each time you act out of alignment with your true self, you reinforce the idea that who you are isn't enough. This is not only untrue, but also unnecessary. When you release the need for external validation, you free yourself to live authentically. You become less concerned with how someone perceives you and more focused on being your best self. This doesn't mean you're dismissive of others' feelings. Rather, it means you're grounded enough to know that your worth isn't up for negotiation. This shift in mindset empowers you to respond with clarity and intention instead of reacting from fear or insecurity. Men and people in general are naturally drawn to those who exude self-confidence and inner peace. When you stop seeking validation, you allow the relationship to unfold naturally without the added pressure of trying to meet unspoken expectations. Instead of trying to fit into a mold, you create a space where genuine connection can thrive. This doesn't just enhance your relationships, it transforms how you show up in every aspect of your life. So the next time a man contacts you, remember this: your worth is not determined by his attention, approval, or affection. It exists independently, and it's up to you to protect and honor it. When you do, you not only avoid the mistake of seeking validation, but also set the tone for healthier, more fulfilling connections. Always stay true to yourself, and the right people will recognize and appreciate you for who you are. When a man reaches out to you, it can trigger a wave of emotions. You might feel excitement, curiosity, or even a bit of anxiety. These feelings are natural, but one of the biggest mistakes you can make is reacting emotionally without awareness. Reacting impulsively often comes from old patterns, subconscious fears, or conditioned beliefs that may not serve you in the present moment. In situations like this, it's essential to take a step back, observe your emotions, and respond intentionally rather than letting your feelings take the lead. Emotions are powerful, and they often have a way of hijacking our rationality. When someone contacts you, your mind might race with possibilities. What does he want? Does this mean something deeper? Or worse, your thoughts may spiral into doubts. Am I good enough? Is he comparing me to someone else? These emotional reactions often stem from unresolved insecurities or past experiences that resurface in the present moment. However, just because these thoughts or emotions arise doesn't mean they are true or that you need to act on them. Joe Dispenza often speaks about the importance of emotional mastery, emphasizing that your emotions are not meant to control you. They are signals that offer insights about your internal state. When you react emotionally without awareness, you risk projecting old wounds onto a new interaction. For example, you might interpret a delayed reply as rejection or a casual comment as criticism. These reactions are less about the person in front of you and more about unresolved patterns within yourself. Recognizing this is the first step toward freedom and self-empowerment. Responding with awareness means pausing before you act. It means giving yourself the space to process what you're feeling and asking, is this emotion based on the present moment, or is it rooted in something from my past? This pause can prevent misunderstandings and allow you to approach the situation with clarity and balance. Instead of reacting with frustration, neediness, or defensiveness, you can respond with calmness, confidence, and intention. When a man contacts you, there's often a temptation to interpret his words or actions through the lens of your emotional state. If you're feeling insecure, you might assume the worst, even when there's no evidence to support it. If you're overly excited, you might overlook red flags or rush into conclusions. Emotional reactions can distort reality, making it difficult to see things as they truly are. By cultivating awareness, you can separate your feelings from the facts, allowing you to engage in a way that's authentic and grounded. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending they don't exist. On the contrary, it's about acknowledging your feelings without letting them dictate your actions. Emotions are valuable because they offer insights into your inner world. By observing them without judgment, You can gain a deeper understanding of yourself and grow from the experience. For instance, if you notice feelings of insecurity when he contacts you, it's an opportunity to explore why those feelings are present and what you can do to heal them. When you approach interactions from a place of emotional awareness, you create an environment where genuine connection can flourish. You're no longer operating from fear or neediness, but from self-assurance and authenticity. This shift not only benefits you, but also sets the tone for healthier, more balanced relationships. People are naturally drawn to those who exude calmness and emotional stability. When you respond with intention, you demonstrate emotional maturity, which is a quality that fosters trust and respect. It's important to remember that you are always in control of how you respond. The key is to stay present, observe your emotions, and choose your actions deliberately. By doing this, you protect your energy and ensure that your responses reflect your true self, not fleeting emotional impulses. The next time someone contacts you, resist the urge to react impulsively. Instead, take a deep breath, center yourself, and respond with awareness. This simple shift can transform not only your interactions, but also how you feel about yourself. From mistakes and ignorance to shame and embarrassment to regret and perhaps even the idea of dating or falling in love becomes a situation. When a man contacts you, one of the most common pitfalls is overanalyzing or assuming his intentions. It's tempting to read between the lines, dissect every word, or project meanings onto his actions that may not even exist. This tendency often stems from a desire for certainty, a need to feel in control of the situation, or even past experiences that make you wary. However, overthinking and making assumptions can cloud your judgment, create unnecessary stress, and lead you down paths that have no basis in reality. The mind is naturally inclined to fill in gaps when it doesn't have all the answers. When someone says or does something, your brain might start spinning stories. Why did he say that? What does he really mean? Is this a good sign or a bad one? These stories can spiral into conclusions that are far removed from the truth. For example, if he takes a few hours to reply to your message, you might start thinking he's lost interest, talking to someone else, or deliberately ignoring you. In reality, he could simply be busy or unaware of the effect his timing has on you. Joe Dispenza teaches that our thoughts create our reality. When you allow overthinking to take over, you're not only feeding unnecessary anxiety, but also shaping your emotional state based on assumptions rather than facts. This habit puts you in a reactive mode, where your thoughts and emotions are dictated by imagined scenarios rather than the present moment. Over time, this can lead to a cycle of self-doubt and insecurity, where you question everything and lose sight of what truly matters: your peace of mind and the actual reality of the interaction. The key to breaking free from this pattern is cultivating clarity and focusing on what you know to be true. Instead of jumping to conclusions, stay grounded in the present and approach the situation with curiosity rather than judgment. Ask yourself, what do I actually know right now? What has he directly communicated to me? This practice helps you separate facts from fiction and prevents your mind from spiraling into unnecessary stress. It's also essential to communicate openly rather than assuming you know what's going on. If you're unsure about something, ask. Direct and respectful communication not only clears up misunderstandings, but also builds trust and transparency in any relationship. For example, if his words or actions leave you feeling uncertain, you could say something like, "I just want to clarify what you meant earlier because I value clear communication." This approach allows you to get the information you need without creating drama or tension. Another way to avoid overanalyzing is to shift your focus inward. Instead of obsessing over what he's thinking or feeling, pay attention to your own state of being. Are you calm and confident, or are you feeling anxious and unsettled? Use these emotions as signals to reflect on what you might need in that moment, whether it's reassurance, self-care, or simply a reminder to let go of control. By focusing on your inner world, you reclaim your power and stop giving external circumstances so much influence over your emotions. And it's not about sheltering, it's about being, listening, engaging, and trusting the truth in what really matters. Because this all comes down to your inner world. You reclaim your power and stop giving external circumstances so much influence over your emotions. It's also helpful to remember that not everything someone says or does has a deeper meaning. Sometimes a text is just a text, a question is just a question, and an action is simply what it appears to be. Trying to uncover hidden motives or meanings behind every interaction can lead you down a rabbit hole of overthinking. Trust that clarity will come with time, and don't force yourself to solve a puzzle that may not even exist. Inevitably, by resisting the urge to overanalyze, you allow yourself to stay present and respond authentically. This creates space for genuine connection because you're not bringing unnecessary tension or assumptions into the interaction. Instead, you're showing up as someone who is grounded, self-assured, and open to whatever unfolds naturally. This energy not only benefits you, but also invites the other person to engage with you on an equal and transparent level. So the next time a man contacts you, resist the temptation to overthink or jump to conclusions. Instead, trust in the flow of the moment. Communicate openly and focus on staying true to yourself. In doing so, you'll avoid unnecessary stress and create a foundation for more meaningful and authentic connections. When a man contacts you, it can be exciting, flattering, or even a bit nerve-wracking. In those moments, there's often an unconscious desire to present the best version of yourself, a version you think will be appealing or likable to him. While it's natural to want to make a good impression, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is losing your sense of authenticity in the process. Adjusting who you are to fit someone else's expectations might seem like a harmless way to build a connection, but in reality, it creates a false foundation that can erode your self-esteem over time and compromise the potential for genuine connection. Authenticity is one of the most powerful traits you can bring to any interaction. When you show up as your true self, unfiltered and unapologetic, you give others the chance to connect with the real you. However, it's not uncommon to feel tempted to suppress certain aspects of yourself when you think they might not align with someone else's preferences. You might downplay your passions, avoid sharing your opinions, or even pretend to like things you don't, all in an effort to appear more agreeable. But every time you do this, you're sending a subtle message to yourself that who you are isn't enough. This mindset, over time, chips away at your confidence and self-worth. Joe Dispenza often emphasizes the importance of living authentically and embodying the highest version of yourself. He teaches that when you act in alignment with your true self, you radiate a sense of wholeness and self-assurance that naturally attracts the right people into your life. Conversely, when you abandon your authenticity to seek approval, you disconnect from your own power and create a version of yourself that isn't sustainable. Relationships built on inauthenticity can feel draining and unfulfilling because they lack the genuine connection that comes from being real. It's important to recognize that being authentic doesn't mean being perfect. It means embracing your strengths, your quirks, and even your flaws without fear of judgment. When you're authentic, you show up with vulnerability and courage, trusting that the right person will value you for who you truly are. This approach not only deepens connections, but also creates a sense of inner peace because you're no longer expending energy trying to be someone you're not. There's a profound sense of freedom in letting go of the need to impress others. Instead of wondering how you can fit into someone else's world, you can focus on creating a world that feels true to you. This doesn't mean you disregard other people's feelings or preferences. It means you prioritize staying aligned with your own values and desires while remaining open to connection. Authenticity invites mutual respect because it shows that you respect yourself enough to be honest about who you are. When a man contacts you, it's an opportunity to assess whether the connection aligns with your authentic self, not just whether you align with his expectations. Instead of asking, what does he want from me? Ask, how do I feel about this interaction? Does it resonate with who I am and what I value? These questions shift the focus back to your own needs and desires, helping you engage in relationships from a place of empowerment rather than seeking external validation. It's also worth noting that authenticity doesn't require oversharing or revealing everything about yourself all at once. It's about being genuine in your intentions, words, and actions. For example, if you don't agree with something he says, it's okay to express your perspective respectfully. If you're passionate about a particular topic, don't hold back from sharing it. These moments of honesty and vulnerability are what build trust and meaningful connections. The beauty of authenticity is that it attracts what is meant for you. When you show up as your true self, you give others the opportunity to see and appreciate you for who you are. And if someone doesn't resonate with that, it's a sign that they're not the right fit for your life. This clarity is a gift because it ensures that the connections you cultivate are genuine and align with your highest good. So the next time a man contacts you, resist the urge to mold yourself into what you think he wants. Instead, embrace who you are with confidence and pride. Trust that your authenticity is your greatest strength and that it will naturally attract the relationships that are right for you. When a man contacts you, it's easy to let your mind drift into the past, comparing his actions to those of someone who hurt you or let you down before. Alternatively, you might project your hopes and fears about the future, imagining what this interaction could mean. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in moments like this is allowing your past experiences to define your expectations of the present. Carrying emotional baggage into a new interaction creates unnecessary limitations and prevents you from embracing the potential of what's unfolding right now. The past has a way of lingering in our minds, especially when it comes to relationships. If someone broke your trust before, it's natural to feel cautious or even defensive. But living in the shadow of those experiences means you're not giving yourself the chance to see the person in front of you for who they truly are. Instead, you might unintentionally project fears or insecurities onto them, assuming they'll behave the same way someone else did. This not only creates tension, but also builds walls that can block the possibility of genuine connection. Joe Dispenza teaches that our thoughts and emotions are powerful creators of our reality. When you carry unresolved emotions from the past, you bring the energy of those experiences into the present. This can distort your perception, making you see patterns where they don't exist or react offensively to situations that don't warrant it. For example, if a previous partner was inconsistent in communication, you might assume that a delayed response from this person means they're unreliable. These assumptions aren't based on reality, but on unresolved wounds that need healing. Letting go of the past requires self-awareness and a commitment to growth. It means acknowledging the pain or disappointment you've experienced, while recognizing that it doesn't have to define your future. Healing isn't about forgetting what happened, but about choosing to release the hold it has on you. When you approach a new interaction with an open heart and mind, you allow yourself to see it for what it truly is, a fresh opportunity, unburdened by old narratives. Similarly, projecting into the future can be just as limiting. It's tempting to fast forward in your mind, imagining what this interaction could lead to. You might start wondering if he's the one, planning scenarios in your head, or placing expectations on what should happen next. While it's natural to think about the possibilities, focusing too much on the future can create unnecessary pressure. It shifts your energy away from the present moment and places unrealistic demands on the other person. Living in the present is the antidote to both past fears and future expectations. When you're fully present, you can engage with the person in front of you without judgment or projection. You're not comparing them to anyone else, nor are you trying to predict where things will go. Instead, you're allowing the interaction to unfold naturally, free of the weight of your own mental stories. Now, this openness fosters genuine connection because it creates a space where both of you can show up authentically. It's also important to trust yourself in the process. Trust that you've grown from your past experiences and that you're capable of discerning what's right for you. Trust that you'll know when something feels aligned or when it's time to walk away. This self-trust is essential because it allows you to navigate relationships with confidence rather than fear. You don't need to rely on assumptions or overanalyze every detail because you're grounded in your own sense of worth and clarity. When you let go of the past and stop projecting into the future, you reclaim your power. You're no longer bound by what has been or consumed by what might be. Instead, you're free to experience the moment fully with curiosity and openness. This not only enhances your interactions, but also allows you to build connections based on truth and mutual respect. So the next time a man contacts you, pause for a moment and remind yourself, this is a new interaction, a new moment, and a new opportunity. Approach it with an open heart, free from the weight of the past and the pull of the future. In doing so, you give yourself the gift of truly being present, which is where all meaningful connections begin. When a man contacts you, it's natural to feel a spark of excitement, curiosity, or even a bit of uncertainty. But in those moments, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is sacrificing your self-worth for the sake of validation. It's easy to fall into the trap of measuring your value based on someone else's attention or approval, especially when society often ties worth to external factors like relationships or how others perceive us. However, basing your sense of self on someone else's actions or feelings can lead you into a cycle of emotional dependency, anxiety, and ultimately disappointment. The need for validation stems from a deeply ingrained belief that being wanted or accepted by someone else makes you more valuable. While it's natural to enjoy being noticed or pursued, this belief can be dangerous when it becomes the foundation of your self-worth. Relying on external validation puts you in a position where your happiness and confidence are tied to someone else's behavior, leaving you vulnerable to the highs and lows of their attention. This creates an imbalance as you begin to chase their approval, often at the expense of your own needs and authenticity. True self-worth comes from within, not from the opinions or actions of others. Joe Dispenza often emphasizes that our emotional states should be a reflection of our inner alignment, not external circumstances. When you know your value, you don't need anyone else to affirm it for you. You understand that you are already whole, deserving of love, respect, and kindness, regardless of whether someone texts you back immediately or takes days to respond. This inner knowing empowers you to navigate interactions with clarity and confidence, rather than reacting out of fear, insecurity, or neediness. I started praying 10 years ago when I began to feel an urge to learn more. When you sacrifice your self-worth for validation, it often shows up in subtle ways. You might find yourself overthinking his words or actions, trying to decode hidden meanings, or adjusting your behavior to align with what you believe he wants. You might compromise your boundaries, agree to things you're uncomfortable with, or suppress your true feelings to avoid conflict or rejection. While these actions may seem small or insignificant in the moment, they build a pattern that reinforces the idea that your needs and desires are secondary. Over time, this can erode your self-esteem and create a relationship dynamic where you feel unfulfilled and undervalued. The relationship or even the early stages of one is not a test where you have to prove your worthiness. It's a dynamic exchange between two equals, each bringing their authentic selves to the table. When you understand this, you approach interactions with a sense of curiosity and openness rather than a need to control or impress. You focus on whether the connection is truly aligned with your values, goals, and emotional needs, instead of trying to mold yourself into someone you think they'll find appealing. By grounding yourself in your own self-worth, you naturally establish healthy boundaries. These boundaries aren't walls that keep people out. They're guidelines that protect your energy and ensure that your interactions are mutually respectful. When you respect yourself enough to honor your boundaries, you set the tone for how others treat you. People are drawn to those who carry themselves with confidence and self-assurance because it signals emotional stability and maturity. It's important to remember that self-worth is not something you earn, it's something you already have. You don't need someone else to validate your existence or prove your value. You are inherently worthy simply because you exist. When you fully embody this truth, you become less affected by external fluctuations. A man's attention or lack thereof no longer defines your happiness or self-esteem because you're rooted in the knowledge that you are complete within yourself. This shift in perspective not only transforms how you see yourself, but also how others perceive you. Confidence and authenticity are magnetic qualities. When you stop seeking validation and start owning your worth, you create space for genuine connections to thrive. You attract people who appreciate you for who you are, not who you think you need to be.